We will talk about carbon cycle today, where carbon is present in air as carbon dioxide gas, which has two oxygen molecules also. But since we are interested only in carbon and its cycle, we will be showing carbon as black dots or black bindis to show how carbon moves from one place to another. So this carbon dioxide gas in air will go through a cycle. The first step is plants absorbing it for photosynthesis and converting it into glucose in their bodies. So we see plants creating the first carbon chain through photosynthesis in chlorophyll in their bodies. So the first carbon chain is glucose, which has 6 carbon atoms inside a molecule. It's a hexagonal molecule, and we will see on the screen how these carbon atoms are joined up together in glucose. There are 5 of them below and there is one above, and this glucose is the basic molecule through which plants build much of their other molecules. So this glucose molecule is then joined together into hundreds of them joined together as a chain called starch. We all recognize starch in our food as rice water, rice, potato, the white substance, and glucose, starch are all called carbohydrates as things that are made out of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen in plant bodies. So this is the first type of carbon chain in a plant body. The second is fats. Fats are also carbon chains, but you can see that there are 3 carbon chains joined together by one molecule called glycerol. So all these are carbon chains, and that's why sometimes we call fats as triglycerides. So these carbon chains can be of different types, and therefore we have different types of fats, but plants generate them utilizing the glucose that they have generated. So we have the second type of carbon chains in plant bodies, which is fats, and now the red one is the third type, which is proteins. So proteins is the third type of carbon chains, and we will see what proteins are. Here we see amino acids written. So this is one amino acid, which we can see, we can call it as like think of it as a bead in a necklace. So proteins are generated out of units called amino acids. So amino acid is made out of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, but it also has nitrogen. So we see one amino acid here, and there are 20 amino acids which join up together as different kind of beads in a necklace or in a string. So when they make a string, this is a peptide, and a peptide folds up to make a protein. So depending on what amino acids have been put together and what shape there are hundreds of kinds of proteins, and they do different functions inside living beings. So here the plant will generate proteins that it needs from, again, utilizing the glucose. So we see 3 major types of carbon chains here in plant bodies. And now these plants are eaten as food by animals. So animals also have carbohydrates, fats and proteins, but they are not identical to those in plants. So animals first digest plant bodies, break them up into smaller units. So glucose, fatty acids and amino acids are collected by animal bodies through digestion, and then animals will generate their own version of carbohydrates, fats and proteins as according to their needs. So animal bodies also have these major substances which animals create out of the units which they get from plants. So animal bodies and plant bodies both have a lot of carbon chains as their building blocks. Now all this carbon has to get back to air as carbon dioxide for this chain to function, or for this cycle to function, and hence plant and animal bodies will now release some of this carbon through a process we call as respiration. Plants and animals breathe in and breathe out. So when they breathe out, they give back carbon dioxide to air, and this is how one part of the cycle is completed and carbon dioxide gets back to air. So which we can show here as an arrow taking back carbon to air or releasing carbon to air. The other arrow is another part which we will just show. So here is through respiration some carbon dioxide getting back. The other part happens through waste generation and dead material generation. Plants give off dead leaves and wood, and animals give off urine and undigested food, as well as animals also die, so their dead bodies, all this goes into the environment as wastes, and now all this waste and dead matter is acted upon by decomposers. Decomposers are small living beings which are bacteria and fungi. They actually eat this dead matter and wastes, and then release the carbon trapped inside as carbon dioxide. So this is the other process through which the cycle gets completed. The carbon chains inside plants and animal bodies get broken up and go back to air as carbon dioxide, and we have one part of this carbon cycle complete. Now we will get to another form of the carbon cycle, where plants die, they decompose, get deposited inside soil and rocks, and over thousands or millions of years they rot and decompose, and under intense heat and pressure a lot of new carbon chains are generated, which go together as coal, which is black in color, and we get it in coal mines under the earth, under soil. So this coal is actually generated out of plant bodies which have accumulated over millions of years and gone through a lot of chemical change to become coal. So similarly we have petroleum generated. Petroleum is another kind of substance made out of animal and plant bodies, and it is generated below ground, below land, and also sea, below water as well. Again, petroleum takes millions of years to get created out of a whole lot of plant and animal bodies which decompose, rot, and under intense heat and pressure petroleum is generated, which is a large number of carbon chains, small or big. So both of these, coal and petroleum, are mixtures of carbon chains which and the process of their generation is called fossilization. Petroleum looks like a thick liquid, but it also is, some of it is gas or natural gas. So now petroleum and coal together are being extracted from the earth by human beings, and now humans have started utilizing them as fuel. So earlier what was trapped inside the earth over millions of years is now taken out and it is burnt by humans to release back the carbon dioxide into the air. So through this burning, over a very short time, over just more than a century, a whole lot of carbon which was trapped over millions of years under the earth is now reaching back into air as carbon dioxide. We keep hearing that the amount of carbon dioxide in air is increasing continuously and increasing very fast. that's because of very large amount of burning of coal and petroleum, extraction and then burning, increasing the amount of carbon dioxide in air. So this is how we are seeing that another part of the carbon cycle is getting completed. Once again, carbon reaching back air as carbon dioxide gas. Now the third process is through some animals we generate hard shells. So the animals who live in water, around water, make shells. So these shells are made out of calcium carbonate. So there is calcium also, but there is in carbonate there is one carbon atom trapped. So a large number of these shells are generated and deposit on seabeds, where under heat and pressure they create a rock called limestone. Limestone is white in color, but it also has a carbon atom. So a large amount of carbon is also trapped as limestone. So this is how the complete carbon cycle is generated on Earth.